Hello children. Today I will explain the poem Daffodils. This poem has been written by William Wordsworth, one of the most eminent English poets. Daffodils is Wordsworth's most famous work and shows vividly his love of nature. It gives the idea that beautiful objects of nature fill our minds with pleasure. This poem was inspired by a real life experience. The poet tells us how once, when on a walk with his sister, he saw a large number of golden colored beautiful daffodils growing beside a lake. In their company, he felt happy and was lost in their beauty. He continued to gaze at the beautiful sight. Afterwards, whenever he was lonely or sad, the memory of these beautiful flowers filled him with great happiness. This poem has an important theme which we sometimes ignore due to our busy schedule in life. In the poem, the poet is trying to convey the message that nature is a source of eternal joy. The beautiful objects of nature like flowers, mountains, lakes, stars, moon and so on fill our minds with pleasure and changes a sad mood into a joyful mood. Nature has the ability to soothe and make us happy. A beautiful sight in nature is capable of removing stress and gloom from our minds. The beautiful scene of nature makes us forget our sorrows and sufferings, which means that nature has healing power. Now I will explain the poem. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills. Now, here the poet starts saying that he was wandering lonely as a cloud. Here, the poet has compared himself to a lonely cloud that floats high over the valleys and hills. Now, here the poet has also used the word lonely, that he was wandering lonely as a cloud. In reality, he was on a walk with his sister. But due to the fact that he was so sad and depressed and feeling dejected, he feels lonely even in the company of his sister. So, when you are sad or depressed, you feel lonely even when you are with your friends, even when you are in company. So here the poet has compared himself to a lonely cloud that floats high over the valleys. Vales means valleys and hills. When all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils. And suddenly, what does the poet see? He sees a crowd, a host, that is, a huge group of, that means there was a vast area which was covered with golden daffodils. Beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. So the poets saw these golden daffodils spread over a vast area beside the lake and under the trees, fluttering and dancing. That is, they were moving as if they were fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way. Now, here in the second stanza, the poet has compared daffodils to the stars. Continuous as the stars, just as there are innumerable stars scattered, spread over the vast sky, in the same way the daffodils were also innumerable and they were spread over a vast area. So here the poet has compared the daffodils to the stars. continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way. Milky Way is the galaxy in which our Earth is located, and galaxy is the area in space, a vast area in space where millions of stars are found. They stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. They here means the daffodils. The daffodils stretched. Stretched means they were spread over a vast area. Never-ending line means it was the daffodils were spread over a vast area. Wherever, as far as the poet could see, he could only see daffodils along the margin of a bay, along the bank of that lake. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. And here the poet is telling us that he saw 10,000 at a glance. At a glance means at one look. He saw 10,000 flowers. Now here 10,000 is used as an exaggerated statement, because in reality he must have seen thousands of daffodils, but he says that he saw 10,000 daffodils. Tossing their heads in sprightly dance. Tossing their heads means they were moving in the breeze, and it seemed as if the flowers were dancing in a lively manner in the breeze. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. Now, the waves here is referred to the waves of the lake. Beside them danced, that is, there was movement in the water of the lake also. So it seemed as if the waves in the lake, they were also dancing. But they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. But they here is referred to the daffodils. The daffodils outdid, that is, they excelled the sparkling, shining waves in glee, in joy. That is, the waves were also dancing, but the daffodils were dancing more beautifully than the waves. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. And a poet, in fact, any other person could not help but be happy in such a happy company. That is, anybody, not only the poet, anybody who saw such a beautiful sight, he will be very happy. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. I gazed and gazed. The poet was so attracted by the beautiful sight of the daffodils that he continued looking at the beautiful sight, at the daffodils. But little thought, and while he was looking at the daffodils, while he was watching the beauty of the daffodils, he did not think or realize what wealth the show to me had brought. He did not realize, he did not think about the wealth that the beautiful sight had brought for him. And what was that wealth which was given to him by the sight of the beautiful daffodils? The wealth of joy and happiness. That means he was wandering in that area in a very sad and depressed mood. But when he saw the beautiful daffodils, he becomes happy. He forgets his sorrow and he becomes happy in the company of those beautiful daffodils. For oft when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood. Now here the poet, at the moment also, he was really impressed by the beauty of the daffodils and he was lost in its beauty. But later on also, that is the wealth that he had got, that is the wealth of joy and happiness, that later on also, often when on his couch, that is when he used to lie on his bed in vacant or in pensive mood. That is, Vacant means showing no interest. That is when a person is lonely. He doesn't feel like doing anything. And in pensive mood. Pensive means when he was in a sad mood. So often when the poet used to lie on his bed in a lonely and sad mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. They here refers again to the daffodils. The sight of the beautiful golden daffodils flash. Flash means suddenly come to that inward eye. Inward eye means come to the poet's mind. He imagines the sight of the beautiful daffodils in his mind, which is the bliss of solitude. Bliss means happiness, and solitude means loneliness. And when he imagines also, when he sees the beautiful daffodils in his mind, when he imagines only the sight of the daffodils, his loneliness changes into happiness. It brings the sight of the golden daffodils in his mind, brings happiness even when he is lonely and sad. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. And then he becomes very happy when he just imagines, when he just sees the daffodils in his mind. He becomes very happy, and it seems as if his heart fills with pleasure, fills with joy, and dances with the daffodils. He also becomes very happy. Just as the beautiful daffodils are fluttering and dancing in the breeze, in the same way his heart also dances when he becomes happy. So this is the poem, children. This is the explanation of the poem. It is a very easy poem, easy to understand also. Learn the theme of the poem, and you may make notes and write down the meanings and prepare it.